Hello. In this clip from our Justia webinar, Essential Habits for Law Firm Associates in the Post-Pandemic Landscape, Lana Manganiello and Benjamin Schweffel share with you the final takeaways about habit creation, professional relationships, and reputation building. If you want to see more Justia videos on law practice and legal marketing, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
So we're ready to do the Q&A. I think we have one in the chat. Ben, well, I can read it and Ben can answer it. So,
sure, let's see.
What habits can associates adopt to maintain a healthy work-life balance and prioritize their well-being? Remote work blurred the lines between personal and professional life.
Yeah. So this was a real struggle. I can tell you, my wife still works from home 100% of the time, and so we live it day to day. I'm a little more in office, but I think I used the term calendar blocking earlier, and sometimes you're in a position in your career where you can do that. Other times you're not. So I am sensitive to that. But if you can work on calendar blocking and setting calendar invites and reminders and things like that, it really helps you block those things off. Because I had a mentor tell me, show me your calendar and I'll show you what's important to you. And so if it's working out that's important to you, if it's certain family obligations, those things are important to you. You're trying to strike the right balance between the work obligations that you have and these other things that are really core to who you are. And if you put it on the calendar and you commit to doing it and you show up, that'll help you find a healthier balance. Otherwise, there will always be more work. Things will always pile on top of you, and it's easy to shove those things aside because you're busy. And it may happen in a moment or a couple of moments, but you have an opportunity to reset. And I think that helps you stay structured and kind of get back on when you might have fallen off.
Great. Are there any more questions?
Yeah, I think we have a few more. Thank you both for that presentation, and thank you, Ben, for that additional insight. I think our next question is, what do you think the number one common mistake or bad habit that associates should avoid?
Ben, do you have a visceral reaction?
I mean, yeah, there's a couple of things come to mind. I'll say that keep your head down and just like stay focused on your work is one that I hear a lot. And I'm going to say that maybe came from another generation of lawyers who just was like, keep in your office and grind it out. And I get it. We have billable requirements. But there is a perception that if you're out and about in the community, you're trying to do business development. I just say you're network building, your relationship building. So just keep in mind that you need to be intentional and have like a big picture of what's going on. Have a big picture about the case you're working on with the partner. Have a big picture about your career and pivot. And sometimes I think when you're so narrowly focused, you lose sight of that big picture, and all of a sudden you find yourself a decade or more into a career finding you're unhappy and you're burned out. And if you revisit those things more commonly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, I don't know, whatever it is that works for you, you'll be in better tune and you'll be ready to shift when a life changes. You have a different phase. And I think too often we're so narrowly focused because we're really driven at completing certain tasks and we can be really good at it. And we just, all of a sudden 8 years is gone and you realize this is not what I wanted. And I always think that's unfortunate. And it also comes out in the work product.
Not to double down on that. And we spent a lot of time talking about this, but similarly to Ben's kind of keeping your head down and just doing the work. Like I've noticed a lot of people talking about efficiency and, associates talking about like, oh, if I go into the office, it's burning up, an hour and a half. But the reality is there's so much to gain when you're being intentional about it. I'm not saying just being in the office, like there's magic there. There may be some opportunities that you wouldn't get if you were not going into the office, but that visibility piece is so key that only thinking about efficiency and getting your work done is really going to shoot you in the foot in the long run. And so prioritizing the long term of your career and what you should be doing today to make those things a reality.
See another question in the chat. We can both tag team this one. What should I do if I find specific animosity towards me or another associate?
Have you experienced this, Ben?
Yeah, no, I haven't had any drastic examples, but I will say where there have been more difficult personalities. Maybe that's the way I can put it. I don't know if I would say I've had animosity, but there have been more difficult personalities for me that I've worked with. And I think for me, trying to understand, again, going back to the big picture, what is going on with this person, and like, how do I try to relate to them? What are they really after? Like, I'm charitable. Maybe they're having a bad day. They're probably not having like a bad 3 years that you worked with them, but you have to find ways to work with them. And so for sometimes it's like, don't take that personal. And I get it. I take a lot of things personal, but like, you have to find certain ways to work with certain people. You may not have a choice in that specific season. And going back to something that was said earlier, I hope that's not a season that you're in forever. I hope you find ones that line up with your own. But if you're in that season for whatever reason, you got to find the best way to work through it. And I think being especially charitable with people and finding ways to relate to them and kind of humanizing the situation rather than somebody who's just trying to get billable hours and work product and they're mean to you. If you realize that they're a person and hopefully they will realize you're a person, you can soften some of those rough edges. And I know that's difficult. So I'm saying that from on top of my soapbox. But if you do those things and you start from a really charitable perspective, I think it may be a little bit easier than if you just have it in your mind who they are, how difficult they are. That's more difficult to overcome.
Yeah, and I love that approach. And also, kind of what we're talking about of getting other connections in the firm so that you can understand that person better. And also just having more relationships will make it easier to kind of weather these types of people. And help you kind of recognize, like he's saying, it's a season and you have a lot of options as to where to spend your energy. So without knowing enough about the situation, I think, Ben's approach of like really understanding that it's probably not so much about you and, understanding how they're perceiving the situation, and then also making sure that you're building up a support system of people that give you different perspectives and understanding of what the situation might be.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for all of your insight and that great presentation. And thank you all for your questions. We're almost out of time for today, so I'm going to go ahead and hand things back over to Marina to wrap things up. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy it, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more law practice and legal marketing videos. See you in our next clip.